Welcome to the Biz Live podcast. We're coming to you live from UNR Extension Studios in lovely Las Vegas, Nevada. We are the Small Business Education Program team, and we're here joined today with Carlos Gomez from the Latin Chamber of Commerce.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for being here, Carlos, with us. We're grateful to have the Latin Chamber as one of our collaborators on this podcast, and we're here joined today with Saul Ramos, our Triple D, we call him. He's our Deputy District Director of the Sba here in Nevada, and we're grateful you're here with us today. We're going to be talking about some updates from Sba, from different products and things that you have. And
yeah, you bet. My pleasure. Glad to be here, and thanks for inviting me.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys for being here. This is great. Saul, do you want to introduce yourself and just talk a little bit about how you came to us and what's your background and what you do at the Sba?
You bet. So my name's Saul Ramos. As was mentioned earlier, I'm with the United States Small Business Administration, which is a federal agency that focuses on helping businesses start, grow, and expand. I myself have been with the federal government for close to 20 years and navigated through different positions, from overseeing offices, from participating in international trade development, from business development, economic development. Originally from Los Angeles, California, and made my move out here about 4 years ago. So
awesome.
Haven't turned back and have been enjoying it ever since. So just glad to be here. And this is a great place to be for those that are listening. Las Vegas, Nevada.
Las Vegas is a great place to be, and not too far from your hometown. So that's always good. Just over the hill.
Over the hill. And the good thing is that when I'm going to LA and when I'm coming back, all I could see is just the red lights. I'm glad I'm not stuck in traffic for those folks.
Absolutely.
From Nevada to
And also
California.
less pollution.
Yes. And you can afford a home here. That's the other thing. That's another positive. At least this week, right? At least this week. So let's talk about some of the Sba programs that currently you guys have on the table and some updates that you may have.
Yeah, I think the biggest update that I would like to make clear is that currently there are no more additional COVID relief programs. We rolled out so many, and with the great help of the Latin Chamber, with you guys, our resource partners, our SBDC, our Women Business Centers, we were able to really deploy a lot of programs, right? The Payment Protection Program, the PPP, the Restaurant Revitalization Fund, the SVOG, Shutter Venue Operating Grant, and the most common one that you still hear is the Economic Injury Disaster Loan, the EIDL. Mm-hmm. So all these programs have since closed. There are no more new applications. So the deadline, especially for the EIDL, was December 31st. So it closed. Now, what we have, and I think this is where the updates come in, is that we have folks that applied before December 31st and are either waiting for a decision or have received funds and are now going for the increase of the EIDL loan. So that is primarily what the agency is right now currently dealing with. That's one of our biggest workloads, responding to the Economic Injury Disaster Loan inquiry. So again, there's no more new applications, but if you did apply before December 31st, we are still processing them.
Gotcha.
Okay, Saul, I went through your website. I mean, you improved a lot. I mean, believe me, there is so much information there. But I see the links on those different loans live, those links. So meaning this for the people who apply on December 31st, or because people are still asking for those loans. And,
right.
And when I saw those links alive, I said, oh, probably it's open. So that's the confusion probably the community has.
Yeah, so the majority of the information that's there, it's going to be more informational. So there's still a lot of frequent asked questions, right? Why? Because we're still dealing with them. So there's a lot of material that's on there that's most likely going to remain there as a education piece, as literature, so you can go back and reflect on it. Now, remember that the Economic Injury Disaster Loan, that's always been around with the SBA, okay? When there were natural disasters occurring before the pandemic, that was the vehicle that folks who were impacted by a natural disaster could apply for. That being said, that website for the, I'll refer to traditional economic injury disaster loan is going to remain open. Why? Because we continue to have natural disasters, or some occurring, I think, in the East Coast. So that in itself is the traditional EIDL. That remains open. You could continue to apply if you have that impacted by a natural disaster in there's certain areas. So that might be a little bit of confusion. What I wouldn't want people to get confused is that because they see that traditional EIDL website that they think it's for COVID EIDL. It's not.
Okay. So, we always used to tell people traditionally the SBA does not lend money,
Right.
except in one circumstance, and that is injury, economic disaster injury loans, right?
Right.
So if there's a flood, if there's an earthquake, if there's something that disrupts business operations, the SBA can directly lend money to small business owners for that case.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. So hopefully that helps clear a little bit of the confusion.
Other than that, you have to go through a lender for any other SBA products.
You
correct?
bet. Right, right. So then we start diving into what we'll call, again, I'm referring to purpose of this conversation, traditional SBA lending, which is going through the lender, the community advantage programs, the CDFI. So there's a huge buffet of different folks, different institutions that you can tap into for traditional SBA lending.
Gotcha. Now, some of the SBA backed products that we have the 504 loan and we have the 7A loan, are two very popular programs. Can you explain the differences and similarities to the two?
Yeah, first and foremost, the SBA, as you mentioned, we're not a direct lender, right? In this traditional space, we are not a direct lender. It goes, again, through these financial institutions. So one of the benefits of using SBA is that, one, there's some flexibility, right? When you don't qualify for traditional financing, SBA is just another vehicle to get you finance. The benefits of it is that it's guaranteed by the federal government, in this case, SBA. So what does that mean? It's that it's going to reduce the risk for the lender. So it's mitigating the risk. There's a certain guarantee attached to it. It can go up to 75%, 85%, 90%, depending on the type of program. So I think that in general is good to understand. If ever you find yourself that perhaps you don't qualify for traditional financing, you ask, what other programs do you have? SBA might be one that they might mention, and then you'll start just encountering a bit more of that discussion. So what is the difference between 504 and 7A? 504 is intended more for fixed assets, right? What are fixed assets? You're talking about machinery. Machinery, especially manufacturers, right? You're looking at there has to be some sort of years that the machine will last, and hence the fixed asset. The other option, of course, is real estate.
A building.
And this is one of the huge programs, and the last couple of years it's just gone. It's been used tremendously for real estate, because as we all know, real estate has been doing very well. So many businesses have been able to leverage that. And another benefit of it is that sometimes you don't have to go in with your, if you want to call it traditional 20, 30%. SBA, you can go in with at least maybe 10 or 15%. Another benefit of using the
down
SBA
payment is lower.
Down payment is lower with SBA. So that's another benefit or advantage. So 504, again, primarily used for fixed asset, real estate purchase. That's primarily what it's used for. The 7A ends up being more of what we call our flagship program, because it could be used for many reasons. It could be used for working capital, for inventory. It could be used to purchase real estate as well. It can be used to purchase fixed assets. So a little bit more of a flexibility with the 7A.
Even payroll.
Payroll, right.
Okay.
So 7A, more flexibility. 504, primarily fixed assets and real estate would be a good comparison.
Yeah, the interest rate will be the same for both, or?
It would vary. It varies like anything else. It's going to depend on the type of loan. It's going to depend on the business owner's, credit. So there's a lot of different variables that come into play. The benefit about the 504 is that it does come with, it could be either 20 to 25 year fixed rate.
So it's almost like a mortgage.
It could be a mortgage.
That's what's great about it.
Right. And it does involve, two loans, and then they blend the loan to come up with a certain loan. So I'm getting a little bit into the details, but the key takeaway here is that you understand that there are benefits for using the SBA program, such as the down payment in itself is one huge advantage that folks oftentimes go with the SBA.
Yeah, and I think another huge advantage of this is if you're a small business owner and you're paying, let's say you're paying $10,000 a month in rent, right? Chances are you can buy that building for what you're paying. If you're paying around that, I don't know what the exact numbers are, but if you're paying a substantial amount for rent every month, chances are you could actually buy a building of that similar size with a similar or lower payment monthly.
Yeah.
That's what's great about it, because if you can push that out 20 to 25 years, that really helps. Like I said, it feels like a mortgage when you're paying it instead of like
and
a
the
7-year loan or something. Yeah.
No, and the most important thing is, for instance, when you had a location, you had your customers, and then when you rely only on lease, probably in 3 years, 5 years, the new owner or they will increase your lease 10 times fold
Absolutely.
or 2 times fold. So when you own that building, you had your base, you had your customers, and you had a good business.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
yeah.
And I'll share a quick little story, considering being March and it's a women's month that we're celebrating. We just helped out a Hispanic entrepreneur. She's in the construction industry, to purchase her first building.
Wow.
You know,
That's good.
and exactly the reasons why you mentioned, Carlos. She said, I think I could have a really good opportunity here to own real estate, have a fixed rate, not have that worry about it's going to increase. So not only does she purchase it now through the 504 program, there is some wiggle room, I'll call it, where you could even lease a percentage of that. So now not only does she have her building, now she's going to be leasing a portion of it. Again, there's a certain percentage that you could...
And building equity the whole
building
time.
equity.
Exactly.
And it's such a great benefit for, especially an entrepreneur that's in a male-dominant industry that not only has been able to get her foot in the door, but now creating wealth through real estate.
Absolutely.
That's great.
Well, and I think it's awesome because a lot of times small business owners don't think about their exit strategy from the business, right? And if your business is doing well, that's great. Buy your building. That's like a no-brainer. I think it really is, because you're going to pay rent someplace. You might as well be paying it on your own mortgage, right? And in 20 years, 25 years, or you can pay it off sooner, it's a great thing the business owner could sell the business and keep the building or lease the building back to the new owner. I mean, it gives them a ton of options financially and sets them up for retirement, which is really good.
Most definitely.
Yeah, we hate seeing small business owners and they retire and they're broke.
Yeah, we don't want that.
That's a terrible thing. That's why we have catch-up programs and we have the self-employed pension programs, because we know that small business owners don't invest in themselves as much as they do in their business. And, you could work at your own business for 10, 15 years, and then you don't have any retirement because you've been putting into the business, not the retirement. Exactly. So at least this way you have the building, that's your retirement, and that makes sense.
And also for our audience, traditionally in the past, when somebody asks for SBA loan, we told it, who is your bank? Look for the SBA specialist, go through him. Then he will apply for SBA, and you get approved. That will be your co-signer, and yes, in lame terms. And then that's the way to go. But with these COVID relief programs, everybody went to the website directly to the SBA to get those loans, PPPs, PPEs, all those loans. Now, coming back to for our audience, now everything need to be to the specialist, SBA specialist, for every lender in Las Vegas. Am I correct?
That's a very good point that you mentioned, because it could possibly cause confusion, right? So again, we'll break it down in traditional SBA, which is those programs that we spoke about, 7A, 504. You're absolutely right. Those are going to be done through a financial institution, a lender in this particular case. The COVID relief programs, in speaking specifically about the economic injury disaster loan, that's done through SBA. That again falls under that umbrella that we become a direct lender because of this pandemic and being the idle. Similar case if, again, going back to just elaborating a little bit more on the idle, if there's a natural disaster in the East Coast, SBA again steps in as a direct lender. So 2 different buckets, one that SBA is a direct lender under the idle or COVID program, and then the other bucket, we'll call it, is the traditional SBA, which you work with a lender. So very good question, and yeah.
Good. Question: If I'm a business owner and I have an SBA loan, and I'm looking to sell my business, but I still have 15 years left on this loan, can I sell the loan as the business owner? Can I sell the loan? Is it transferable, or do I have to keep that and pay it off, or how does that work?
Yeah, another good question. In that particular situation, we would, of course, always suggest you get legal counsel and so forth to make sure that you're making the right decisions. When it involves the loan, like anything else, you want to make sure that you're engaging in this particular case with SBA and or the lender to have that discussion, because there might be some nuances that might need to get resolved before you make that move. So, for example, right, we're dealing a lot with the economic injury disaster loan. Unfortunately, we're seeing some businesses that are closing, and just to be clear, just because the business closed doesn't mean that you're not going to be having to pay that note. Right?
Sure.
It's a loan, you're gonna have to pay it back. And that's a very good point to mention, because EIDL, let's remember, it's a loan. Okay. Unlike the payment protection program, that it was forgiven and so forth, different programs. One was forgiven.
The L in idle, it means loan.
Yeah, remember, yeah, exactly. That's a good one.
It's in the name.
Yeah, and also, am I correct, please let us know. And always our advice at the chamber is, look, if you take any federal money, bankruptcy, it doesn't erase that. You need to pay the last penny and get finished. Am I correct? So
yeah, I mean, just like any note, right? You have to go through the process. You have to go through the motions and make sure that you're taking the right steps, so that hopefully it doesn't hurt you 7-10 years down the line, because at the end of the day, it's a loan. So to answer your question, Mike, I think the key takeaway here would be that if it does involve SBA, that you, one, reach out to the financial institution, because remember, SBA is not a direct lender in some situations. And second of all, that you reach out to SBA as well, so you can have that discussion and that there's no surprises. The last thing we want, and I hope this is clear, we're not here to try to repossess. We're not here to try. That's not our business. Our business is to help you start, grow, and expand, right?
Yeah.
But
and grow.
Right. The fact is that there are going to be some situations that you're going to have, unfortunately, this crucial or difficult conversations, and you want to make sure that you're leveraging all the resources, the chamber, watching videos such as this, reaching out to the SBDCs, reaching out to your lender. So oftentimes, I think when businesses find themselves in a very tough situation, they tend to forget about all the great resources that are available for whatever reason. And let's not forget about that. Whenever you're in a tough situation, that's even more important when you want to seek counsel, seek advice, seek help, and you have a good team, I would say, here in Nevada.
Yeah, if you're having trouble making your payments or something like that, the first person you should be calling is your lending institution. And I know that's contrary to popular belief. Everybody says, "Oh, I'm not talking to those guys." Oh no,
it's the best approach, because
you have to talk to them and say, tell them what's going on. Yeah.
And I had another question for you. So we had a conversation last week, and I got a call this morning, and looks like the federal government is moving to bring affordable housing, affordable homes, and projects, small buildings, fourplex, things like that. SBA is involved on those programs, lending those money, or they are not involved?
The short answer is we're not involved, at least to my knowledge. Who knows? Things could change, but we're sticking with the small business loans. That might fall within another federal agency, so I think the federal government may still be involved, but it would probably be under the umbrella or oversight of a different federal agency.
Yeah, because it's coming as they approved, I believe, $1.5 billion for affordable housing. And we don't know how much money will come to Nevada. And also, we don't know where will be the conduit. Could be SBA,
exactly.
Department of Energy. Who knows? You know better how the federal government works.
Yeah, I think we at SBA have our hands full with the COVID relief programs.
Sorry, we're busy right now. But don't give us anything more.
Yeah, we're still dealing with I'll call it idle and post entitlement, right? Going back to folks reaching out to us, I want the increase, and I think a lot of the resource partners have really stepped up to the plate to make sure that our community is benefiting from that.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I have to say, Saul, you especially, not just SBA, but you personally, Saul was very helpful to us. He came on, he was on about either you or one of your counterparts was on with us we had 84 town halls we did during COVID, and that was incredible. And we got direct information from you guys at SBA every week that helped people, and people had crazy questions. You know, my brother-in-law said that this and this and this. I got this special number on my thing, and it's like it was down. I remember Saul one day was like, "Okay, if your loan begins in a 6 and the number 6, you need to call us immediately because you got to refile some stuff." It's like, wow, that was the best information, right? Because we're getting it straight from the source. I just want to say thank you for you personally, and not only that, on behalf of the SBA. You guys were great in just giving small business owners the information they needed when they needed it.
Yeah, no, I mean, it goes right back, you know, to each and every one of you. I'm very blessed to have a great team that was very supportive, and I don't think we all had our heart in the right place that they wouldn't stop working.
Yeah.
I mean, hundreds of calls were coming in, but they stuck right there with us. And
Saul would give out his cell phone number every week, and I go, "Oh my gosh, he's giving his cell phone number out." And I said,
I don't answer. You do, but I don't.
Well,
this is a good guy right here.
Yeah, he's a good guy because I don't answer.
No, this is the part where, you know, I think the team, if I would get calls, we would just make sure that every call, we did our best to make sure that every call got answered. And we were only a small team of 7, and I know they stepped up to the plate.
Yeah.
So my hat's off to them because of what they were doing. I was able to do a little bit more, and that only happens if you have a great team.
And also, I'm sorry to interrupt. Also, I want, in the same token, I want to thank you personally in behalf of the Latin Chamber of Commerce, because I can testify that we had members of our community, not only members of the chamber, asking for questions and what they need to do, how to forget the PPP, what is the process they do, duplicate our process, and everything. We contact you, you will solve the problem immediately.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
No, my pleasure. Thanks. Just glad to be here.
Well, and I got to tell you, the SBA too moved like no other federal agency has moved during COVID. Like you guys literally got money in the hands of people that needed it. There were so many businesses that came to me and said, "Oh my gosh, we would have absolutely closed our doors without the PPP program. We would have just closed."
No, it's true.
And it's like anybody that got those funds that was in business really used them the right way, followed the process, did everything the right way, and it was like, I thought it was great how the SBA got in there, and you guys were so quick to do that. I haven't seen response like that from a federal agency. Besides, like, especially for small business, we see that from FEMA sometimes, or things like that. Sometimes, right? But as far as for businesses go, you guys really saved. I mean, it just saved jobs during COVID.
And it's true statement. So everybody need to know it's true
Absolutely.
statement, because we know how the things work around the town. But you did, and SBA, everybody on board, a great job.
Yeah. No, but thanks again, and I think this speaks volumes to what I was saying earlier, that, you know, just glad to be here in Nevada, because I think Nevada is one of these states that we're able to make such a difference and an impact because of the relationships that we have from the federal, from the state, from the county, from the chambers, from the universities. I mean, I think everyone really came together and embraced the fact that we were here to help the small businesses, and whether it was the SBA program or some of the county or federal programs. I mean, it was just amazing to see how everyone stepped up to the plate as leaders and say, hey, you know, I think we all have a mission here, and that's to help save small businesses, and I'm glad that we were able to be part of that.
That's awesome.
Awesome.
Anything else from SBA? Any new programs on the horizon, or anything you guys are working on the next 6 months?
I stopped and take a breath there.
Besides what you're doing.
I stop and take a breath there, because I'm sure there will be other programs that might be on our plate. And I'll say this, you know, whatever they throw at us, I think with a good team, we'll be able to step up to the plate, do whatever needs to be done. In the meantime, we're refocusing on making sure that going back to the traditional SBA programs, are being used by the community. And we're also juggling the idle program. So we're juggling many different workloads, but nevertheless, we're stepping up to the plate. So to answer your question, as far as any new programs, I don't see any yet, the keyword here yet, on the horizon, because there might be some more to come. I would say that the pandemic program, which is the idle, is one that continues to resurface in a good way, right? Because right now we're going, and let me just explain the resurface, right? I'll put them in different buckets if we want to call it. We have folks that unfortunately were denied, right? So now they're having to go through that, whether it be reconsideration. So you have 6 months from when you are denied to reconsider. Reconsider pretty much means you're saying, hey, your decision was wrong. This is why. And after that, if it is denied again, then you're going through the appeal process. What does that mean? Again, hey, you still got it wrong. This is why. So you want to make sure that you're being as diligent as possible to ensure. And once you hit the appeal process, you have 30 days or 60 days to submit that appeal. Okay, so that's kind of the bucket of folks that unfortunately are getting denied, whether it's denied at the initial phase or perhaps denied even when you're requesting an increase. And then you have, of course, the ones that are requesting an increase. They got approved, right? They're up maybe up to 500,000. And now anything over 500,000 does require a little bit of a different formula, right? We're looking at more of a cash flow analysis, not so much the formula that we were using
real
before.
taxes.
Yeah. Yeah. And then yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. And then of course we got folks that unfortunately are getting just caught up with, I still haven't gotten my money, or I got the increase. So there's a little bit of back and forth. I mean, that's in a summary, 3 different buckets in no particular order, but just to get a feel for what we're still dealing with at the district office, what SBA is still dealing with. And the end result, we're doing our best to use all of the resources, the chambers, the universities, to make sure that we're educating the folks, because we want to make sure that they're benefiting from the program. So in summary, those are some of the programs that are still.
Excellent. How does somebody reach you? What's the best way to get in touch with you or your office?
Yeah, so I'll give you the office mailbox. It's really easy. It's N as in Nancy, V as in Victor, D as in Dog, O as in Oscar, NVDO at SBA.gov. It's a mailbox that we have in our district office. We're monitoring every day, and the team is very responsive.
Nevada
For
District Office, right?
Right.
NVDO.
NVDO at SBA, and that's for all the folks that are here in Nevada. And even if you're not, and if you reach out to us, we'll try to put you in the right direction or refer you to the right folks. So that's one way of doing it. You're always welcome to reach out, 702-388-6611, 702-388-6611.
Excellent. Hey, well, thank you, Saul, for being here with us today. We sure appreciate all your efforts for the state of Nevada and just for small business owners everywhere. And, you've been a great partner. And we can't say enough about Saul. We love Saul.
Yes.
So thank you.
My pleasure to be
Carlos,
here.
thanks for being here with us today, too. And
Thank you so much.
thank you. And this has been the Biz Life Podcast once again, broadcasting from UNR Extension Studios in Las Vegas, Nevada. Part of the Small Business Education Program, and go do something really great in your business today. Thank you.